Okay, welcome everyone. As we are sponsored here, the learning of Bava Basra by Shalom Fogel, Lil Nishmas, Rabbi Yaakov Zev ben Rabbi Yehuda, Aryeh, Rivka Bas Rabbi Yaakov Yosef, Tzivya Miriam Bas Rabbi Gad, and Rabbi Yosef ben Tzim ben Rabbi Yaakov Zev by Baruch Ian, Lil Nishmas, Yaakov Chaim ben Abba, Esther Bas Gittel, Lili Nishmas, Avram ben Shmuel HaKoyin, Yaakov Yemansky, HaKosa Tov to the Rav, the Zoom family, and Nachas from children and grandchildren, the same A.B. Spry, Nachas from his children and grandchildren, Ed Saleh from London, and Joshua Rosenberg, a virtual Talmud. We learn for our Chavar Adaf, Shimon Yehuda ben Gittel, he should have a refuah shalema b'seich shecher Yisrael. We welcome in over here Berish Gesseman, Mel Zachter, Mark Frankel, Baruch Ian, Yisrael Meir Kaplan, Yisrael Fisher, Dr. Guy, and Irving Fishbaum, Marshall Castle. In the shul, I see Ruvain Shannon, Rich Lenner, and I see Michal Avram. Great to see all of you there. Please tell Gedalia Engel, I've been missing him, and Saba, Eddie Chazan, Dr. Black, Ruvain Pollack, Chaim Kramer, Nachman Chaplin, Moshe Lehman, Ilya Schutzman, Rabbi Kranz, Abe Arbach, Shelley Zeitman, Rebbe Zepkowitz is with us, and we have also David Helfgott on Kol HaLashon. As we start at the two dots, 3 lines from the bottom of Daf Lamed Dalet Beis. Now here you have a classic scenario. I mean, it's what we expect when we have characters like we do on the shir. Marshall says it's his land and it's been his ancestors for years. And Mark says, what are you talking about? It's my land, and it's been my ancestors for years. They bring it to court. Now, what does the court do? I mean, this is, a complete deadlock. Neither of them have proof except for big mouths. So what do? So the Gemara says, let's see it inside. This is a famous piece of Gemara over here. Marshall says, it's mine, it's my ancestors. And Mark says, what are you talking about? It's mine, and it's my ancestors. Amar Rav Nachman, this is such a fascinating decision. Amar Rav Nachman, remember, Rav Nachman was a dayan, the Yored L'Umka Dedina. It says that a lot of times about Rav Nachman. He was a profound dayan. Amar Rav Nachman, the court withdraws from the case and called the Olam Gvar. Let the one who is more mighty prevail. That's the decision of the Gemara. Now, this isn't simply, well, what else are we going to do? There's a logic to this. The Rashbam explains that the logic is that the one who really owns it is going to try harder to get it. No, it's for 2 reasons. First of all, because he knows it's his, so he's full with the righteous indignation that it's his. In this case, of course, Mark, right? So he's going to flex his muscles more. Secondly, Marshall is not going to put that much effort, because then after putting in so much effort, Mark is going to get some proof, since it really is his, and all his effort will be for naught. That's the logic over here. So the Gemara says, but this doesn't seem to be consistent with another halacha that we learned. Says the Gemara, now here's an interesting case. Let's take another 2 characters over here. Another 2 characters. Okay, I got a good example. Eddie Chazan, and Yisrael Fisher. You know, another two characters. So they are both holding a shtar. Eddie has a document, and Yisrael Fisher has a document that Nachman gave them a field on the corner of 48th Street and 12th Avenue. He gave them a field, and both have a shtar dated the same day. Now, since they both have a shtar dated the same day, we don't have hours in a shtar. And even if the witnesses said that Eddie got his shtar in the morning and Yisrael got his shtar in the evening, it doesn't make a difference. It wouldn't make a difference, because since there's no hours in the shtar becomes legal at the end of the day. So therefore, in this case, Yisrael and Eddie both have the same proof. So what do we do in that case when Yisrael and Eddie come to court? So over here, nobody says Kol Olam Gvar. Nobody says that. Umayshna mishtei shtaris hayotzim b'yom echad. The Rav Amar Yachloiku. Rav says they split the field. V'Shmuel and Shmuel now says a very interesting psak. V'Shmuel Amar Shuda Dedainei. It's left up to the discretion of the court. It's left up to the discretion of the court, and the court decides who Nachman would be more likely to give the gift to. It's really a fascinating thing. But no one says over here that the court withdraws and said, Kol Olam Gvar. Let Eddie and Yisrael deck it out. Nobody says that. So the Gemara says, you know what the difference is? Is because Hossam, over there, Lekem Lemekim Allah de Milsa. There is no way to determine this. There's no way to determine this. Each one has a shtar. Each one's shtar is a legal shtar. There's no way to determine who gets it. As I said, even if Nachman gave the shtar to Eddie in the morning and he gave it to Yisrael in the afternoon, they both come into possession at the end of the day. Therefore, since there's no way for new information to surface, the court can make a decision because they don't have to worry that they're going to be reversed. Or, since there's no way to come into information, the court could render the decision that it should be split. But, here, either Mark or Marshall might bring proof that it was their ancestors. Ada might surface in court. And therefore, since more information might come in, Beis Din is not going to make a decision. Rather, they're going to withdraw and let them deck it out until more information comes up. So Gemara says, and here this is so interesting, it's like the Gemara is going through the archives of Shas and picking similar cases which have different decisions. Why is different from that which we learned? We learned this earlier. Here, Reuven Pollack and Dr. Block, they trade a cow for a donkey, V'yolda, and the cow gave birth. Now, of course, you understand that Dr. Block said that the cow gave birth only after he bought it, while Reuven said the cow gave birth before they made the trade, before they made the swap. Reuven sells his maidservant, his shivcha kananis, to Dr. Block, it gave birth, and we can't pinpoint the time. Reuven said, well, it gave birth before I sold it, and therefore the child is mine, or the calf is mine. And Dr. Block says, when I bought it, it gave birth. And there the din is yachloiku. Now, in that case, this could be resolved, right? Because witnesses could come and say the exact time when the maidservant was born, and then we'd be able to determine it if it was before the sale or after the sale. And we even though it can be resolved later on, we don't say kol da'olam gvar. Bezdin doesn't step back. Says the Gemara, so now the Gemara pulls out, and this is what we call the Talmudic surgical scalpel. We're slicing and dicing and coming up with new svaras. So here the Gemara says, Hasam, lahai islay drara de mamayna, ulahahu islay drara de mamayna. Both Reuven and Dr. Block have a solid connection, a solid claim on this child or on this calf, because it was the mother was once Reuven's, and the mother is now belongs to Dr. Block. So each one has a solid claim, and where each one has a definite claim, Bezdin can't remove itself. In the case where Mark and Marshall are arguing, we don't know if Mark ever had a shaykhis to this land, because if it's Marshall's ancestors, then it's not Mark's. And if it's Mark's ancestors, then it's not Marshall's. So they don't have, each one doesn't have a drara de mamayna, a definitive connection to this claim. That's not the case with Dr. Block and with Reuven. They both have a definitive connection, because Reuven owed the mother before he sold, and Dr. Block owed the mother afterwards when he bought it. So they both have a definitive connection. In that case, Bezdin will defend their rights. They won't withdraw. Instead, they decide, yachloiku, that they should split it. Now, you got to hear this. I mean, I don't know who's somebody. We're going to have to pick somebody who's brave enough to start up with both Mark and Marshall. I mean, it has to be somebody with a lot of guts. I see somebody right now, Rich Leonard. Rich Leonard is ready as co-president of the Agudas Yisrael of Fairways. He's ready to take on the two hooligans. What happens is, this land is sitting here. Each one says it was their ancestors. What does Rich do? He moves in and takes the land. You know, he says, these guys don't have proof anyway. It's a nice piece of land. I'm taking it. He's a gutsy guy. So says the Gemara, Imre Nardoi. The Nardoi said, Im bo echad min hashuk, if Rich Leonard comes from the street, v'hirzik ba, and he steps in and takes the land, and here the Rishonim are clear to say that he's taking it without any claim. He doesn't have a claim. He just says, look, these bozos can't get their act together. There's no real owner here. So I could use a good piece of land. You know, so he walks in. We can't take it away from him. Now, what's amazing over here is that even though Rich doesn't have a claim, Marshall says, what are you doing here? He says, look, nobody has a claim on this land. I'm always looking for a freebie. He doesn't have any claim. But you could only eject him if you're an owner. And since none of them could prove that they're an owner, so it's interesting. The Rashbam says that it's possible that neither of these clowns are the owner. It's possible that Mark isn't the owner and Marshall isn't the owner, because they don't have proof. Taisa says even if we know it's one of theirs, it doesn't make a difference. Since they can't prove it, they can't eject Rich. I mean, I'll tell you, this decision of Nardoi is really incredible. That you could walk into a piece of land. I mean, this piece of land is worth $1.6 million. And
so Mark and I had no idea what saying.
What?
What happened to Kol Olam Gvar? Didn't we say Kol Olam Gvar?
Yeah, we said Kol Olam Gvar if they took it. You know,
at least they have a claim.
Elliot Udell is not able to get into the shir. The question is why. Does anybody know his number to call him? Maybe he forgot the password. Shelley?
So how come
1 second.
Mark and I don't have any
1 second. 1 second.
I'll try and give him a call.
Give him a call. I just got a text from him that he can't get on.
Yeah. I'll step away for a second.
Yeah, so you don't have to step away. Just mute yourself. Anyway, what are you asking, Rabbi Kranz?
I asked her, Marshall's asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm asking why there's no, why Mark and I don't have the same right as Rich would have, just to walk in and say it's ours.
All right, but you didn't. But you didn't.
But we're both saying it's ours.
You're saying it's ours, but he took possession.
How can he take possession?
He has a shot. He has a shotgun.
So who's a Marikama here?
There isn't any Marikama. That's the thing. There isn't any Marikama. You're each claiming that you're the Marikama.
All three of us, basically.
Well, no. Here's the beauty of it. Rich isn't even making a claim. He's not even making a claim. He's just saying, look, there's no owner here. I'm taking it.
Oh, I thought we were bad. That's impressive.
Well, not everybody agrees with this.
Good.
But first, the Gemara brings a riot to it. The Tani Rab Chia Gazlan shall rob him. If you steal from a community, that means, as we're interpreting it, you steal from something that there isn't a definitive owner, but there's a public claiming, there's different people claiming, Lav Shmei Gazlan, you're not a thief. Because you're not stealing it from anyone that has been proclaimed the owner. Rav Ashi doesn't agree. And this is the halacha, so everybody will be happy. Rich, I'm sorry, even though you're the president of a prestigious kehillah in Lakewood, it makes no difference. You just can't come prance in, and say it's mine without any claim. Can't do that. Rav Ashi Amar Lo'olam Shmei Gazlan. He's a thief. There he's running away. He's a thief. Umay loy shmei Gazlan. What does it mean he's not a Gazlan? It means that he doesn't have the restitution. He doesn't have the restitution of Be'eshev Esagzela. Normally, you could repent from your sin by returning it to the owner. Here, he has to leave the premises. He got an aveira for trying to take something that wasn't his, but he doesn't have the opportunity of restitution. As the Gemara says, Rav Ashi Amar Lo'olam Shmei Gazlan, Umay lo Shmei Gazlan shelo nitein lo yishava. He can't fulfill Ve'eshev Esagzela because he doesn't know who the true owner is. The only time you can do restitution is returning to the true owner, but when you're dealing with two bozos, you don't know who the true owner is. Now,
hooligans, bozos, what are we today, Mark?
Rabbi, so he's stuck with the Aveira that he can't.
Well, stuck with the Aveira means that he can't do complete tshuva.
Right.
he could still do tshuva. You know, he could do tshuva, but it won't be a complete tshuva.
Well, wait a second, but he didn't really defend anybody or hurt anybody. So there's no Bein Adam L'Chaber to even appease over here. So it's only Bein Adam L'Makom.
That's okay. There's no such thing as only a Bein Adam L'Makom. First of all, it's not true. You're thinking because you know it's not yours. But the one who really it is his, he really stole it from.
But nobody knows who that is.
Well, Mark does.
Oh, okay, so it's Mark's.
You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? The one who's it is his knows. Now, okay, so now we move on. Well, welcoming Tzvi. I'm not sure who Tzvi is, but I don't know if Elliot is having any luck. But we do have 30 Zoomers here tonight. Yeah, 30 Zoomers. Again.
Hey, you hear us get whooped, right, Mark?
Mel, are we trying to get Shimon Klein to come back?
I spoke to him. He just can't physically do it at this point, but as soon as he can, he will.
Okay, good. We have him in mind. We're welcoming in Tzvi Goldman from Cleveland. Welcome, Tzvi. It's good to have you. Let me see. Now, so we go back to the Mishnah finally. In the event where Mark is occupying a land, and Baruch says, "What are you doing in my land?" So Mark says, "I have it 3 years, and I used it without you making a protest, so I don't have to hold my paper." So it's awarded to Mark. Amar Rav Abba says it could be awarded to Mark even quicker. And how would that be? And we welcome in Mo Kushner joining us. How would that be? Welcome, Mo. How would that be? If while Mark was in the field, Baruch loaded a basket of fruit on Mark's shoulder, so that's tantamount to a agreement, approval, that it is Mark's land. And that would be a proof that it was Mark's without having to need 3 years, and even if he doesn't have a shtar. However, Amar Rav Zvid says, "V'imton v'amar leperes iradativ." But if Baruch says, "Yeah, but it's not yours. I leased you for the fruit. You bought the fruit for me. Not that you bought the land for me." So v'imton v'amar leperes iradativ nemen. Now let's say Baruch makes this claim after 3 years. In other words, Mark is occupying the land for 3 years. Baruch says it's my land. So Mark says, "No, I bought it from you." So Baruch says, "Where's your shtar?" So Mark says, "I have it for 3 years. You didn't issue a protest." So he said, "Yeah, I didn't issue a protest because you bought the fruit for me for 3 years." That's not a good claim. But if he tries this shenanigans after 3 years, loy. So now the Gemara asks, but the Gemara is very fair-minded. The Gemara says, but what if Baruch did lease him the field for 3 years for the fruit? So then how could Baruch protect himself? Mark could say, "I bought it, and I don't have to have the paper." So Amalei Rav Ashi Rab Kahana Ila Peira Akse. If Taka Mark only brought the right of the fruit for 3 years, my Havelela Mevet, how could Baruch protect himself? Says the Gemara, there's a way Baruch could protect himself. Baruch is a smart man. He would figure this out. There's a way he could protect himself. He would have to issue a protest. Before the 3 years are over, he would have to issue a protest that the land isn't yours, and therefore Mark would have to keep his paper longer. Amalei Bailei Limkuye. And the Gemara proves this because there's a famous din of Mashkanta de Surah. What's Mashkanta de Surah? Let's say Baruch takes a loan from Dr. Guy for $10,000. And Baruch gives him his field as collateral and tells him, you hold it for 10 years and then you'll collect your money and then you return it to me. That's called the Mashkanta de Surah. Now, Dr. Guy has a document that he gave him a loan of $10,000, and he has a right to hold the land for 10 years to collect the money. What's to stop Dr. Guy from hiding that shtar and then saying, after 10 years, I bought the land. I have a triple chazaka. What's to stop Dr. Guy? And if Dr. Guy could do that, would the Rabbanan institute something that would make Baruch lose his land? Dr. Udell, I'm very happy you finally got on. As we have over here now 31 Zoomers.
Yeah.
That's really good. We had a minute ago 32. I don't know what happened. Anyway, so Diloi Tema Hachi Hani Mashkanta de Surah, where Dr. Guy gave Baruch a loan of $10,000, and Baruch gave him his land as collateral to use for 10 years for payment of the loan. The Kosovo, where it's written in it, B'mishlin Shlim Eilen, at the end of these years, Tefik Aradah B'loy Kesef, the land will return to me and I won't owe you any money anymore. If Dr. Guy hides the shtar of collateral, and he says, I bought it and I used it 10 years, would he be believed? Miskanei Rabbanan Mide, with the Rabbanan enact something to that will come for Baruch to lose his money? Rather, they tell Baruch, if somebody is holding your land for more than 3 years, make sure that before 3 years go by, you issue a protest. That way, the person can't say, I didn't keep my paper. So therefore, the only paper that Dr. Guy has is a mashkanta, which proves that it's still Baruch's. Other than that, he doesn't have any other paper. Says the Gemara, let's see it inside. Eli Bailei Lemechuye. Before 3 years elapse, he would have to protest. So in this case, he would have to protest 3 times. In 10 years, he would have to protest 3 times in order that he doesn't get 3 years, that Dr. Guy doesn't get 3 years of unprotested ownership. So, Achanami, in this case, if Mark only leased the land for fruit for 3 years, Lamaisa is, if Baruch doesn't say anything, after 3 years, Mark could take a claim, I bought it. And I didn't keep the paper because Baruch didn't say anything. The only way for Baruch to protect himself is during the 3 years, he should go ahead and protest. It's nice to have 32 Zoomers here tonight. And it's actually 31 and a hooligan. But anyway, we all knew that. Tell us something we don't know. Now, we're just going to start the sugya over here. This is a longer sugya that we'll have for tomorrow. And tomorrow, by the way, we'll have a delicious chumash here as well, as we start at 8:45 tomorrow. Amar Reb Yehuda Amar Rav. Yisrael Abba Machmas Akum. What happens over here is that Mel claims that he bought land from Tony, who bought it from Aaron Sway. So Mel says he bought land from Tony. Tony is a guy who bought it from Aaron Sway. Hari hu ka'akim. He has only the rights of the guy. Now this is very interesting. Ma'akim, a guy, ein loy chazaka ela bishtar. A guy doesn't have, in a Jewish court, a guy does not have the rights of a chazaka. Which means that if Tony, Aaron says, Tony, what are you doing in my land? He said, what do you mean? I bought it from you. So Aaron says, show me your shtar. So he says, well, I used it for 3 years and I didn't keep my paper. A guy can't make that claim. The reason why a guy can't make that claim is because that claim is predicated on Aaron that he should have protested during the 3 years. With a guy, a Jew is afraid to protest. He doesn't know what the guy will do to him. And therefore, Aaron's silence is not a sign that the guy doesn't have to keep his paper. So a guy always has to keep a paper. This is, of course, if they're being judged in a Jewish court. So, ma'akum ein l'chazak ela b'shtar, he only has proof with a shtar. Af Yisrael abba machmas akum. So here, where Mel is claiming he bought it from Tony, he bought it from Aaron, ein l'chazak ela b'shtar. Mel must make sure before he buys it from Tony that Tony gives him the documentation that he bought it from Aaron. Mel can't make the claim, well, I don't have that documentation, but I know the land was by Tony for 3 years, so you don't need documentation. No, just like Tony can't claim a chazaka after 3 years, Mel, whose whole rights is coming through Tony, he can only claim that if Aaron says, hey, Mel, what are you doing on my land? I'm the Morikama. He said, well, I bought it from Tony, who had it for 3 years. That's not good enough. Because Tony's having it for 3 years doesn't mean anything, because Aaron would be afraid to protest to a guy. So therefore, Mel has to make sure when he buys the land from Tony that Tony has documentation that he got it from Aaron. Otherwise, Mel has no claim to the land.
But he would protest to Mel.
What?
He would protest to Mel. He would make a machot to Mel.
Well, but Mel doesn't have it for 3 years.
Oh, no, but if he did have it for 3
Now that's different. If Mel had it for 3 years, then maybe, it's not so pashut because it still might be a chazaka she'eni motaina. But that we're going to talk about tomorrow. Now, we're going to stop over here, Rabbi Isai, and we're going to learn the Mishnah Yaimis.